So it's raining again, and best thing to do when it's raining is ride adventure bikes. I couldn't be happier. We are here to ride Honda's Africa Twin, which I kind of think is still one of the best looking adventure bikes out there. We're here at Sydenham in Somerset, and we're here with Dave Thorpe at the Honda Adventure Centre. Dave, you've done a little bit of motorbiking before, haven't you?
Yeah, I certainly have. I'm still at nearly 60 years of age, happiest on two wheels. I split my time really with the race team and the off-road centre, and occasionally come across to the adventure. So it's been my life since I was 3 years old, two wheels. So
wow,
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Dave's being coy here, 10 times world champion.
Oh, I like you. No, only three.
Oh, only three times world champion. Oh, I talked you up there, didn't I?
You did.
You can have 7 more on me. It's free. But a lot of British championships as well.
Yeah. I raced through the AMCA, the amateurs, schoolboy amateurs, then into the ACU, and then into the World Championships. So I've been very lucky to the experiences that I've had through motorcycling have been amazing. And
let's talk a little bit more about the school. So you run a kind of mix of 1-day and 2-day courses with the adventure bikes on both the Africa Twin and the CRF 300L?
Yes, we have the main focus in this school is the Africa Twin, but we do have the 300Ls here as well. In many cases I try and see it as a bit of a stepping stone for people that maybe have not ridden for a while. The 300 is a good introduction, and then slowly grow them to be confident to ride the Africa Twin. Other people that come here have got aspirations for travel, going abroad, doing some green lanes, and just want to feel comfortable. The 1 day is more of a ride out with a few green lanes and a little bit of off-road. And the 2 days, really a lot about the Africa Twin on day one, a lot about the rider, and try and grow that rider's capabilities both on the bike and in confidence. So yeah.
Let's get out into the woods. You've got some fantastic terrain around here to play with, so yeah, it's enough talking, I think. Let's go and do some skids.
Let's do it.
Off-road on Africa Twin. So I've had to juggle through the modes. I've got it in off-road mode with the traction control on its lowest setting at the moment, and the powers it's on sort of setting 3 out of 4. Thorpe, he's sending it around the woods. Oh, that was a good start. Oh. Good slick old climb that. Old Africa Twin's having to lug right down low for grip there, but it's doing it. Sure is doing it. Suspension's super plush. I've always thought that about these Africa Twins when I have ridden them. It's such a plush ride on the suspension. It makes cruising along the trail really kind of enjoyable. It stops all that kind of patter and kicking off bumps. It does give you a good bit of confidence on sort of normal flowing trails. Smooth, easy clutch. Really nice throttle response on it, which today is going to be critical because it is slippery.
That's my fault. Alright, yeah.
I thought I'd be clever and go the other line.
Yeah. Was it the better line or not?
Worth a go.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Right, go. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Cheers, Dave. Woo! And that concludes our off-road activity for the day. If I hear one more time that you can't ride big bikes off-road, I shall be really annoyed. You can, they're brilliant, and this Africa Twin is no exception. Today we've come down to the Honda Adventure Centre in the beautiful, beautiful Somerset Hills, and basically done our best to get stuck, get covered in mud, and get really sweaty. It was brilliant. And to show us around, we've had a kind of a special guy. It's Dave Thorpe, who is 4 times world motocross champion. Interestingly, he'll only tell you about 3 of them because the last one was a veteran world championship, and he likes to keep that one under his hat because he's still claiming a racing age of in his 40s. So now Dave has been absolutely wonderful today and taken us and shown us some, like scratch the surface of some of the areas they've got to ride here at the Honda School. The first thing that sprung to my mind today is actually this Africa Twin had its work cut out. The terrain we've been riding on has been dry for weeks. It's rained really hard in the last few days. It's real glassy, real slippery on the top. Even a really good rider could easily come off. You know, it's no reflection on them. So if someone, for instance, rode 30 seconds into the woods and toppled over, it was just the conditions and the terrain, okay? It was nothing to do with the bike and definitely nothing to do with that rider. It's just one of those things that can happen. Moving on. So the Africa Twin, we've been riding it on a 50/50 Bridgestone tyre, and actually it's been a really good test for me. The one thing I've found when I've ridden Africa Twins before, I've tended to ride the adventure sports one, the big tall, kind of more touring orientated one, and I've always had a little bit of nerves about the weight and the height of those bikes. This has kind of put that quite a long way out of my mind today. We've been riding some really slick terrain, stuff where, you know, you're just sat right on the back of the seat, hoping the tyre hooks up, the bike's bouncing from side to side across the trail. In that situation, felt confident within the first sort of half hour on the bike, and that speaks wonders about this bike. I think one of the keys that Honda's done in achieving that is definitely in the riding position and the bits of the bike you touch. Jumping from standing up, sitting down, leg out, having a dab, moving around, having to get off and push the bike, all that stuff. There's very little on the bike that is in the way. I didn't get jabbed in the back of the leg by a pillion footrest. I didn't get my foot wrapped up in a centre stand. I didn't smack my shin on a cylinder head sticking out the side of the bike. A lot of this bike just makes all of your riding off-road super easy. Now that's a trait that actually carries on into the electronics of the bike. You can cycle through a bunch of different rider modes. Today we were basically off-road all day, so I skipped straight to the off-road mode, turned the traction control down to pretty low, and the rider power mode is kind of on 1 down from maximum. The option to turn traction control all the way off, I never found on the dash. I couldn't see it in there. And initially I was a bit grumpy about that, but do you know what? Actually, once we started riding, it never was a problem. I was able to slide the bike, power slide through turns, wheelie over holes, do everything I needed to do. The only time it cut in when I didn't expect it to was on kind of loose baby's head sized rocks, and it started skipping and the traction cut a couple of times. Fact is, I still made it up that hill, so it never got in my way. And the traction on the bike's just there to catch the slack if you go too far, but on its lowest setting as it is now, it's not getting in the way too much. You know, it's not getting in the way at all. Look, it's leaving me well alone there. Let me feel for grip. A bit of weight on the tyre by sitting down. Now in terms of the ABS, you can actually turn the rear ABS off on this bike, but I rode most of the day with off-road mode, front and rear ABS, and again, it triggered a couple of times going downhill, but it always let me stop. It never had me kind of grabbing at the lever in that frightened way that road bike ABS systems do when you're riding off-road. It always slowed it down, and it kept me safe. And it got me kind of thinking about what the purpose of these bikes is. It's easy for good off-road riders, experienced off-road riders to jump on these 1000cc adventure bikes and go, oh, it doesn't quite put this front wheel in a rut where I want, or it doesn't land off this 20-foot tabletop how I want. And there are a few manufacturers right now that are showing those bikes jumping 20-foot tabletops and putting pro riders on them, and which I fall for because that's really exciting and I like doing that stuff. But If we go right back round to the point of an adventure bike, an adventure travel bike like this, they're supposed to get you big distances across all terrain. They're not really meant for riding special tests on or hammering into logs flat out. So if we're taking this as an adventure travel bike, everything the Honda does just helps you get there. The brakes let you get downhill safely. The traction control lets you ride a gravel road, snapping the throttle on and off without high-siding yourself to the moon. It's not meant to be a high-performance off-road competition machine. It's meant to get you there, and get you there it does. So I'm just going to step away from the Africa Twin for a split second. I want to tell you a little story about what happened when we went down to the woods today. We were mucking around on the bikes, having loads of fun. Al was down there, he'd driven the Transit right down into the heart of the woods. And I'll be honest, he parked up and started filming, and we were wheel spinning and sliding to get back up these hills. And both of us were like, how on earth is that Transit going to get back out of here? Sure enough, Transit gets stuck. Solution, tie 2 Africa Twins to the front of it. So we dragged him up the hill with a pair of Africa Twins, which was highly entertaining. The front of the Transit is completely brown now, but another use for a versatile Honda. You can tow vans out of the woods. Another life experience that I've got to add to the list. Oh, that was fun. So it's definitely a good hour and a half unstucking the Transit. Sun's come out. We towed him most of the way up the hill with the 2 Africa Twins, which was super cool. And now we're heading to the top of the hill, hoping he made it out all right. Absolute stunner of a day now. He's still going, which is a good sign. He's taking no prisoners. So I am, as you can see, absolutely caked in mud. I've fallen over a couple of times, I've got stuck, I've laid in puddles. I've had an absolutely awesome day chasing Dave around the woods and just getting highlighted what you can do off-road on an Africa Twin. Keen to do a bit more of the other side of this bike now, some fast road stuff and some travel, because it feels like that's where this is going to really shine, in addition to coping with everything we threw at it off-road. Final thought, that flag there, if you're thinking about an Africa Twin, if you want to know what they're like, you can go and borrow one from a dealership, go for a 2-hour ride for a coffee, or come and see these boys down in the Exmoor National Park and really see what an Africa Twin can do off-road.